The advances in haemostasis that have been key over 60 years, which is a bit longer than my career in haematology, not much longer, but somewhat longer, have undoubtedly been the isolation and purification of the individual clotting factors, leading on to the genes and the cloning and synthetic factor. These have enabled us to completely characterize the defect in most types of haemophilia and devise really effective and safe therapies. We had a huge step backwards in the 1980s with the progressive purification from larger and larger pools of blood of factor concentrates that had potential to, and in many, if not most cases, transferred hepatitis C and HIV. And the tragedy of the infected blood is still with us, the memory of those who lost their lives and those who have continued to live with the results of infection, even though now largely controlled, but not necessarily eliminated. So with those advances came tragedy as well. And however, we've had to learn from that, and we must continue to learn from that lesson about the risks inherent in medical advances. But the great advances of the safe, effective concentrates for all types of haemophilia, and leading on now to a whole raft of new therapies based on the better and more detailed knowledge that we have and new technologies. I mentioned gene therapy. We also have antibody therapy, which can be applied in haemophilia to produce antibodies that mimic the role of factor VIII as its cofactor function. We will have other antibodies that can mimic other requirements. For example, we're using antibodies to knock down inhibitors to rebalance clotting factors, and as ways of bypassing antibodies to the individual factors. These are proving extremely successful. We have advances in therapies from the requirement for frequent intravenous infusion to infrequent subcutaneous infusion. That these also, the technology can be applied to carrier detection and antenatal diagnosis. So across the board, we are seeing huge advances in the area of haemophilia. In the other side of clotting, which is too much clotting, we've recently had advances on oral anticoagulants that are very satisfying and also don't need the close monitoring that's needed with the warfarin type anticoagulant. And we're looking now to other approaches that will also prevent overactivity. For example, antibodies that can reduce the activity of factor XI, and those have great promise for better control of the thrombotic side of the haemostasis network.